In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. and IT&E.
Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of In Full Zoom. I'm Nestor Licanto, and this week we're going to talk about the Guam Visitors Bureau's new marketing representative for Korea. And please let me introduce Jay Park, who is the GVB Korea country manager. Mia Soon is the CEO of Next Paper Media and Communications, which is, I guess, the overarching company. Colleen Cabito, of course, that you guys are familiar with. She's a GVB marketing manager for the Korea market. And Margaret Sablon is the marketing coordinator for Korea. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Have a day.
Okay, let me just adjust my, okay, technology. All right, so let's get started because we've got a lot of you and not a whole lot of time. So let me start with you, Jay. Talk a little bit about yourself as the new marketing representative for Korea. What's your background and experience?
All right. Hello, everybody. It's Jay from Korea. First of all, thank you very much for your time and interview, and especially consideration for the Korea market. So let me just briefly talk about a bit more about my background. So actually, I was grown up in very tourism-oriented family because my father had worked for the airline company for more than 35 years. After retired, he's still running his own business in aviation industry now. So I could have many chances to travel abroad since I was very young. And then I studied in Switzerland for the tourism industry and hotel industry. So since I was very young, I could have the interest in tourism industry very naturally. And then after that, I came back to Korea. I started my career starting from international hotel brand, which was Grand Hyatt Incheon, which was just next to the Incheon International Airport as a revenue manager and e-commerce specialist. And then after that, I moved into more tourism marketing company, which was Avia Reps. And then during the period, I in charge and experience for the Hilton Grand Vacation Hawaii, and then I could work for the NYC company in New York and Las Vegas and Conventions and Visitors Authority, and then working for the DFW airport in Dallas in Texas. So during the period, I could have experienced the various tourism industries, like including hotels, timeshare, and destination marketing organizations, and airlines, and even airports. So it was a very good experience for me. And then after that, I had another big chance to work for the GVB Korea office. So I worked for the account director for the GVB Korea office for the last 5 years. And then recently, let's just say that I was appointed as a country manager. It's a big honor for me. So this is my background, of just brief for the background for the tourism industry.
All right, congratulations. Please help us. And Mia, as the president and CEO of Next Paper Media Communications, tell us a little bit about what's the latest on the outbound Korean market, because it is arguably the most important market for Guam right now.
Sure. Well, still a little bit challenging though. The Korean outbound trend actually has been significantly dropped from before COVID-19. Like it was 28 million people in 2019, but has been dropped down there like almost like 85%. And then still today, as of today, actually 2021 still it remain almost just 700,000 people, which is more like just a business purpose and study or busy family demand only. So still we're a little bit struggling to lift our leisure purpose outbound market, but it's getting there. It's growing little by little. And travel traders are still very suffered from the lower demand of Korean outbound travel market demand. But like I said, it's been slowly getting better. And on the other hand, also these days, what's happening now, like the big major travel platform, we call it 야놀자. Those are like now have more like a joint the agreement with the Hanator. You know that like Hanator, one of the top, the #1 travel agency, they got an MOU to expand outbound travel tourism. So that means we see more positive side or expectation now yet, but we're still a little bit struggled.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Yeah, and that's probably true globally. Just the global tourism market is down considerably, and hopefully we're able to build it up slowly. Jay, talk about that. Is there a pent-up demand for travel? The Korean outbound market waiting for safer conditions?
Basically, I strongly believe that we have the huge potential from the Korean market demand heading to Guam. Once Korean quarantine protocol is lifted, that market will be revitalized absolutely. Because currently in both Korea and Guam, the quarantine protocol is good enough for travel. But the biggest challenge for now is the Korean entry policy, because we have to have the several times of PCR tests, and we have to have some like quarantine. Still, we have those type of restrictions. So, once that restriction is lifted, the Korean market will be boosted up absolutely. And just prior to the COVID-19, Korean outbound traveler was more than that ratio was the highest ratio in the world, which was about 60% of Korean population has traveled abroad, which is a huge number. And on the other hand, those type of outbound travel market is restricted. But on the other hand, currently Korean internal market, Korean domestic travel market is huge now. So there's some positive signal that I can share with you. One of the example. I don't know if you have traveled to the Jeju Island, which is located southern part of Korea. I think it's 3 times bigger than Guam, and it's very popular and very famous travel destination for Korean market. And then we had a Chuseok period, Korean Thanksgiving period end of last month, and then we had 5 days of holidays, and then only for the 5 days. We had 210,000 Korean visitors in Jeju Island, which means, once our, current restriction is lifted, there's no doubt that Korean will travel abroad, and then Guam will be the top priority travel destination for sure. So I believe that Koreans, travel DNA is very strong, and we are waiting for the lifting restriction now.
Yeah, let me turn now to our Guam Visitors Bureau reps. Colleen, can you just give us an example of what the strategy is for the Korean market?
Yeah, so this year our campaign is going to be Guam Again. And, as the Korean market slowly reopens, we want to invite everyone to come back to Guam and enjoy our beaches, our abundant activities, our shopping, and our warm hospitality. And especially in this new era of travel, our travelers are looking for a safe destination. And Guam has a long-standing reputation in the market for being a safe destination. So we're going to reinforce that messaging across, and to provide that confidence in our visitors to travel to Guam. We have right now an attractive incentive that will benefit our airline partners to service Guam, and also to potentially bring new airlines to Guam. And we are also working on launching a free PCR testing for our returning visitors. So that's a good indication, and it helps to alleviate some stress that our visitors may have when, trying to return back home and to bypass quarantine. And so incentives just like these, we're still continuing to develop along with our trade partners, but it's all to provide additional benefits to our visitors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Margaret, can you elaborate on what else we need to do to prepare for the eventual return of tourists?
Just kind of touching on what Colleen had mentioned earlier, one of the important things, not just for Korea, but for all our inbound passengers is that Guam is progressively working towards improving our on-island vaccination rate. And so I think it's great. I believe we're roughly at 89% fully immunized on Guam. So that gives Korean travelers much confidence that Guam is a safe destination, but also always improving our infrastructure, keeping our island clean, boosting public safety, and most importantly, supporting and encouraging local businesses to reopen. Our optional tours really took a hard hit during this pandemic, and so I know a lot of them are struggling. They're trying to get their feet back up. They're trying to build their workforce again, and so helping patronize our optional tours is very important. And lastly, we need the local community's help in following protocols and helping to bring down our level 4 high risk score based on the CDC. That's one of the most important things.
Yeah, and Colleen, prior to the pandemic, what was our Korean market demographic, and do you expect that will be the same when the visitors return, or will that demographic change?
So demographic before was primarily family. That was our largest market. We would have little children and like the mom and dad, and also the grandparents to travel along with them. Right now, the vaccination rate in Korea is looking pretty good. They're looking to achieve herd immunity by the end of hopefully this month, if not this month, sometime early next month. And so there's good indication that travel will resume, but not to what we know it to be, but slowly but surely to get there. I think the first markets that will come out, of course, are the FIT, free independent traveler, and then after that, honeymooners, couples, and also maybe some small groups. Group travel, but later on, probably next year, we'll probably see family market come back. Right now, this month they're actually going to vaccinate from 12 and up. So we're probably going to get the younger demographic, the families with the young children, sometime next year.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jay, you agree with that? Or do you see the demographic changing, or are you pretty much going to market to pretty much the same demographic as pre-pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with Colleen. And yeah, we have the total 8 target market segmentation for the Korean market. So it's going to be different stages to target some specific target market segmentation. But as Colleen said, that the hygiene issue will be the biggest challenge for now. So FIT market, those type of some more individual, some travelers will be the target priority. And then after that, once someone who travelers get some certainty for the travel safely, then family market will bring back.
All right. And Mia, the big question, of course, is what's a realistic timeline for the return of the tourists? And will it be a gradual return, or do we have all this pent up demand, so we're going to see tens of thousands come back all at once?
Well, you got the answer already, though. But, but as Colleen and Jay mentioned, actually, the overall outlook has been pretty positive, but it's going to be gradually changed and lifted the the outbound tourism anyway. As Colleen mentioned, our vaccinate rate has been really good, actually reached almost 70%. Also, the Korean government has been changed their policy, meaning living with the COVID-19, just like Singapore or other like a country like UK or other countries. So it's going to affect everybody daily lifestyle at every moment. That means also it's going to affect our travel behavior and outbound tourism as well. Also, on the other hand, the majority of our airline also now they start to fly to Guam. Even Asiana has been working on the landing anyway. So I think overall the outlook is going to be really positive, and all like travel is going to be resumed, I hope, by next month, November. I think that's going to be pretty much reasonable, and I hope also. Also, we are working on the implementing the campaign Guam Again, as Colleen mentioned. So throughout the nation, and although we expect the recovery all will take place at the end of this year. So gradually but surely next year, it's going to be spike.
Yeah.
But I cannot say like boom.
This part.
Sure.
When you say November, we're going to see some arrivals. What kind of numbers are we talking about?
Colleen, Jay, you want to?
Oh, so for the next couple of months, where we do have additional services from Korea. So we have Jejuware that's going to start service 2 times a week, October 28th. And then we also have Air Busan starting to fly November 4, 2 times a week from Busan, which is a different region, south of Korea. And then we also have Air Seoul November 25th, I believe. And then later on, Asiana in December. So there's going to be a lot of service to Guam. And so we're going to work very hard with our trade partners to ensure those seats are filled. Yeah.
And Mia and Jay, Mia, you mentioned seat capacity. That's absolutely critical, of course. How have the Korean airlines, the industry, fared during this 18 months of severe downturn in travel?
Jay, you want to comment on that?
Actually, just before the COVID-19, we had our total number of seat capacity from Korea to Guam was more than 1 million, which is a huge number, and all the airline industry is focusing on the Guam because Korean government has still some type of restriction for all the international flight now. So once the restriction is lifted, all the airlines are focused on the Guam as a top priority travel destination. So I cannot guarantee the number of the capacity and number of demand at this point, but I'm sure that once the restriction is lifted, all the airlines, their top priority will be the Guam. So that's for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of the airlines that were servicing Guam were the budget airlines. Are they faring pretty well right now? Are they going to be able to survive, even if this is a protracted shutdown virtual shutdown in the?
Oh my gosh, for the LCC, the airlines are suffering much more than the full service carriers like Korean Airlines, because LCC can fly out just short-haul travel destinations, and but on full service carrier like Korean Air, Asian Airlines, they have the long-haul destinations like United States and European destination, but LCC during the COVID-19 pandemic period, LCC should focus on only for the domestic destination in Korea. So they suffered or lost more than full service carriers. So their top priority for the after pandemic, then their focus will be the Guam. That's for sure too.
Yeah, and just to add on that, Nestor, we do have an airline incentive program with our carriers. And so all of them are available to be a part of the program. So we're helping out our airline partners in this time of need.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Yeah. And let me ask Mia and Jay, if you know, is the Korean government, what is the Korean government's role in this? You mentioned, Jay, earlier that, the quarantine restrictions, are pretty, strict right now. And if they were to ease some of that, might help the travel industry out. Is the Korean government going to be helping out in promoting outbound travel from Korea? And do you think that will happen pretty soon? And let me throw that at Jay and Mia.
Yeah, I'm sure that just Mia mentioned that earlier that Korean vaccination rate is the key issue now. And then end of October, the vaccination rates will be the 80% of the total population. So after that, Korean government announced that their policy will be turning into the living with COVID-19, and all the lifestyle regulations and even travel restriction will be lifted after that. So hopefully, the situation is stabilized and that restriction is lifted, and then Korean government regulation is lifted too.
That's good to hear. You want to elaborate on that, Mia?
Yeah. Well, I totally agree with what Jay mentioned, and especially Korean government cannot resist the situation of the living with the COVID-19 policy. So for surely, actually, they will implement that policy next month, because Korean people has been very tolerant to living under that strong, very restrictions. So I think that will affect the outbound travel for sure. And especially young FIT people, they're eager to go outside traveling as well. So we are looking for that.
Also, just one more comment on that. Korean travel industry associations like Qatar, they're, continually requesting to the Korean government, because travel industry, one of the, toughest industry during the COVID-19. So Korean government already know that issues. And then Qatar or some other Korean travel association, they are already keeping requesting to the Korean government to lift the restriction now.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead. Okay. No, I was going to say that, we can do all we can, Colleen, here in Guam to, prepare ourselves for the return of tourists, but it really is up to our, core markets to allow for that to happen. Can you comment on that?
I totally agree. That's why we're just hoping that everything turns out according to plan. I think the Korean government has been doing exceptionally well. I know that they're eager to revitalize their economy, especially the travel and tourism. I know that K-pop, K-culture is growing. And so I'm pretty sure that they want to have more visitors to Korea too, and then share their culture. So definitely, things I think everyone's just hoping that everything will just come back to normal, or the new normal, whatever it may be. But I think everyone wants to travel again and wants to travel soon. So
absolutely, all of us here do. Margaret, do you have a final word on that one as well?
Just excited for the possibilities and the prospects of what's to come in the next couple of months. It's been such a long time since we've welcomed charter flights here and there, and even that was such a big boost for us. So really looking forward to the revitalization of tourism, and to start off with our Korea market. Yep.
All right, and we've got a couple of minutes left, so I wanted to give both Jay and Mia an opportunity to say hello to the people of Guam as the new contractors for the Korean market. And let me start out with you, Jay.
All right. So first of all, as saying that, thank you so much for your consideration for the Korean market. And I've been working for the GVB Korea office as a account director for the last 5 years. And then now this is personally different chapter and another chapter for my career. And I'm going to keep my doing best for the Guam and Guam people. And I'm gonna make sure that we're gonna make recover our tourism market from Korea. So, 시주스마세.
Good luck. And you got the final word, Mia.
Well, our company has been working for GVB Korea over 4 years already. So we completely understand about the market in Guam, visit Guam, as well as the whole this pandemic situation. We've been working with that under that pandemic situation as well. So now the positive expectation out there and all that. So we're ready to go and just conquer the Guam Again campaign. And with our full stack of our marketing for destination service, we're almost ready. So we're very excited about it. And it's a great honor to be chosen as a representative of marketing for destination marketing in Guam.
Absolutely. Good luck. Mia Soon is the CEO of Next Paper Media and Communications. Jay Park is GVB's new Korea country manager. Margaret Sablan is the GVB marketing representative for the Korean market. And our friend Colleen Cobito is the GVB marketing manager for Korea. Thank you all for joining us for this week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nestor.
시주스마세.
Viva
And
Guam.
I'm Nestor Licanto. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week on In Full Zoom.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.